Dear students, a very good evening to all of you, students, parents, and all our viewers. Welcome to yet another episode of EDUPATH, the Journey of Success. EDUPATH is a live interview series with achievers from various fields brought to you by expert group of institutions, Alumni Association. Now today, let's talk about something very different from what we have been doing so far. Agriculture forms the backbone of the Indian economy and the Indian society. It provides security of food for all of us, makes sure that the economy grows at a steady pace, and makes us feel comfortable that no matter what, there is food for all of us at the end of the day. But there is a lack of awareness about agriculture, and not just agriculture or farmers. There are scientists who work behind the scenes day and night to ensure that the farmers who produce our food actually can do this consistently, happily, and in a very, very efficient manner. So to talk to us today about these various aspects of agriculture and agricultural science, we have a guest with us today, Dr. Narendra Kulkarni. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
We're very happy to have you with us today, sir. But before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our viewers today. And after that, we will start our conversation. So, Dr. Narendra Kulkarni is a principal scientist at Indian Council of Scientific Research, Indian Council of Agricultural Research. He is currently stationed at the Indian Grassland and Fodder Research Institute Regional Research Station in Dharwad, and holds a PhD in Agricultural Entomology from the University of Agricultural Sciences, Dharwad. His academic career includes many highlights such as the NTSC Fellowship, Best Outgoing Student for Overall Performance during his BSc, ICAR JRF Fellowship, and Gold Medal for First Rank during his MSc, and a UASD Merit Fellowship and Gold Medal during his PhD. He also secured the first rank in the Agricultural Research Service examination in 2002. He has developed integrated pest management methods in grapes, thereby enhancing grape exports to the European Union as well as the rest of the world. He has also co-authored a comprehensive book on grape entomology for international readers published by Springer, in addition to acting as the chairman for various national and international symposia. Dr. Kulkarni has also given several agriculture-related programs on TV and radio for the benefit of the public. We are extremely happy to have such a wonderful personality with us today, sir. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. So I would like to start with, so before we begin, I would like to just remind our viewers that you can send in your own questions to the guest today by texting us on WhatsApp to 8296490168. This number is displayed on your screen, so you may please send your questions that you have related to agriculture and agricultural sciences, and we will try to answer that. Also, please subscribe to our Expert eLearn channel and click on the notification bell below this video to get regular updates on the wonderful personalities that come on this EDUPATH program. So I would like to ask you by first trying to understand your motivation for joining or choosing a career in agricultural sciences. What made you choose this? And was there a moment in your life where it was clear to you that this is what I want to do?
Okay, sir. In fact, as I was born and brought up in agriculture family, so grown up in seeing farmers, crops, animals, and these are all very familiar during the childhood. So during those days, especially closely associated with agriculture practices and farmers, we have a fair idea of what farmers are facing, the day-to-day problems and prospects of agriculture. We have that in the childhood. So the clarity was more when we entered this PU 1 and 2, so during the 11th and 12th standard. So this idea of doing agriculture finally entered into my mind, because there were some of years they were doing very good at agriculture, and I was in close contact with them, and I was discussing with them what are the studies and what they are doing in their they were doing studying in this University of Agriculture Science. So I was astonished to see their study content and the photographs what they are showing. Somehow this interaction started in those days. So then I made a mind that I will take up career in agriculture.
Now, of course, it's a very natural transition for you. But generally, for most students, agricultural sciences is not what we consider as a conventional career choice. Generally, most students want to go to medicine or engineering, and they say that taking up such choices is risky. We don't know what's going to happen. Do we have a future or not? So what do you have to say to this about taking a career choice which is unconventional like agricultural sciences?
Looking into today's choices made by students, so I can say that yes, choosing agriculture may be an unconventional choice. This agriculture, this is the oldest profession on this earth. Okay, so more than 10,000-year-old history. And Chinese have started growing rice even 30,500 years back. And if you see any profession, though this was the first, I can say, an art and science of growing crops, even before introduction of even medicine. So after independence, or even I can say even before independence also, there were some incidences like famine. You must have heard very famous famine in 1943. And you must have heard the name of Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. He was father of Green Revolution in the country. I would just like to quote his example, sir. When he got in during 1943, coincidentally at the time of this, in 1943, there is a Bengal famine. So he thought that he can give up studying medicine and take up agriculture for his career. So he has taken decision, and he might not have realized how he can contribute for the green revolution in this country, and what we are today now sufficient country. So because of the our great thinkers, policymakers, and scientists like Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. So another example I can like to give here is Dr. Abraham Kurian. So Varghese Kurian. So he was a father of dairy industry in the country. So he has the metallurgy and nuclear physics. So after returning to India, he thought, so yes, country is in need of. So today we are the largest producer of milk in the world. So after independence, our milk production has almost 6 times increased. We are producing almost 1/4 milk in this entire world. So this is a tremendous achievement. So we are reaching now around 300 million metric tons of food production and of milk. So after independence, if you compare the per capita consumption of milk It has increased from even 60 ml to now more than 300 ml. So this is a tremendous achievement. So because of the foresight of even just giving scientists, so now our country is self-sufficient in food production, and we are able to export, and we are the largest exporter of any food commodity in this world. So risks are there in any field, sir. So risks, see that now every year in take example of even Karnataka only, sir. So more than almost 10,000 of medical students, 1 lakh student of engineering students are coming out. If you take a farm science, whether agriculture, horticulture, veterinary, forestry, fisheries, all together, and the number is very small, even less than 5,000. Definitely student can take a risk of choosing agriculture, and definitely they will excel in their careers.
Yes, sir, definitely. As you said, I rightly agree that risk is there in any field that we choose. I think no matter what field you choose, if you are the best at it, if you put in the hard work, then definitely no field is too risky. But now, talking about students choosing a career, now generally what happens is most students who have an aptitude for biology, there's a natural tendency that they go to write NEET, hoping that they get a medical seat. But the real fact today is that only about 5% of the total students in the country who write NEET actually get medical seats. In an expert, that percentage is higher, about 45 to 50%. But now my question is, these remaining students who do not get a medical seat, their default choice would be either dentistry or maybe engineering. Now, do you think for these students actually have a good aptitude for biology, but do you think agriculture science is an attractive alternative to such students?
Definitely, sir. For those who are intending to write only, so they may be concentrating only on PCB. So who are concentrating on this IIT JEE or engineering, thinking about to study only PCM. Okay. But if student wants to choose a career in agriculture or veterinary or fisheries or whatever it may be, so he has to write a CET by selecting options of PC is also required. So they cannot write only either PCB or PCM and choose agriculture. So needs students take care of mathematics, because agriculture consists of vast variety of subjects. So even mathematics or even statistics or computer engineering or surveying, every courses will be there in the agriculture. So mathematics is a very integral part even in agriculture also. So they have to study the PCMB. So those who are writing CET, so they can think of choosing agriculture as an option. Suppose if they are writing only PCB, so then probably they may not able to enter into this agriculture stream, sir. So in this 85% of agriculture seat state agriculture universities. Apart from this, we have one central apex system called ICAR. I am working under ICAR presently now. The stands for Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So ICAR gives 15% of this agriculture in outside Karnataka, entire country, across the country, all the universities, they give 15% quota of agriculture university seat. For that, they have to write AIEEA, All India Entrance Examination for Agriculture. The beauty of it is that get the seat, they're bound to get the scholarship elsewhere in the country. So they have to think of writing both the CET, AIEEA, if you want to pursue their career in either agriculture or any allied sectors. Right. So depending on the rank.
Right. So definitely, it is good to know that since agriculture is considered the backbone of the nation, the government is actually providing scholarships for students who want to pursue a career in agricultural sciences, and this is very good to know. So you mentioned something about today there is a relevance of mathematics, statistics, or computer engineering, and all of this in agriculture. A follow-up question to that is, how has technology changed the way farming is done today, and how do you think this will shape the future?
Sir, technology has trended tremendously. So since independence, I just gave the brief example how we have progressed in every field. So from the age-old agriculture to now the high-tech agriculture. So now we are almost every crop. You take example of whether it's a rice, whether it's cereals, whether it's a fruits or vegetables. So India stands number one or second if you take the entire country, and we export most of our commodities to rest of the world, and almost we are the sixth largest exporter of any food commodity in this world. This has consistent growth and progress in the agriculture over a period of time. After independence, so because of this Indian Council of Agriculture Research, so as I mentioned, the Green Revolution has taken between 1960s and 70s. So during those, so with the great help of Nobel laureate Norman Borlaug, so he was the only scientist in the world who got Nobel Prize in the field of agriculture. Especially, there is no category for giving a Nobel Award to this agriculture field, sir, as we have only for physics or chemistry or medicine or physiology. We have a Nobel Prize for peace and literature also. And recently, economy was also added, but there was no field for giving Nobel Prize to the agriculture. So when Norman Borlaug, he contributes disease-resistant dwarf varieties of wheat. He brought those varieties from 1960s, 70s. Those varieties were planted in the country, in India as well as in Pakistan. They have saved billions of deaths. You just imagine, sir. They have saved billions of deaths in this country. And there was an abundance of food production. So within a span of time, so our production started increasing. Now we are able to produce wheat 6 times higher than what we are growing 25 or 30 years back. So because of those dedicated scientists, their contribution by introducing high yielding varieties, by use of package practices, is maybe even fertilizers or pesticides or herbicides, all resulted in tremendous increase in food production. All sectors are not necessarily only cereals, it may be even fruits, or there is a subsequent growth in other sectors also. So we call different, first started with green revolutions in 1965-70, then started with white revolutions. So as I told Dr. Varghese Kurian, he has an idea of billion liter of milk for this country. So now he has we remember him every day. Now India produced almost more than 22 milk in the world. And we have blue revolution, means whatever the progress in the marine products.
Right.
So India is now also largest producing the fish and fish products. And we started this yellow revolution with this oil seeds. So now earlier days we were importing oil seeds. India, we were importing a lot of oil seeds or even processed oil from other countries. Now we can able to produce or self-sufficient in the oil production. And of late we started this pink revolution. So meat and meat products. And India is the largest exporter of meat and meat products. So now we wanted to have this green bow revolution in the agriculture. So every sector now country is progressing, exporting, and we are able to the total export economy worth of 3 trillion. So it may be 3 lakh crore worth of agriculture products every year. Recently, our Honorable Prime Minister announced 3 trillion COVID period. So that is equivalent to 1 year agriculture export from this country.
Right. So this is really insightful, because I think we are all aware of green revolution, white revolution, but you have introduced so many colors that we were probably not aware of, and it's really eye-opening. And I think we should be proud as Indians that we are really progressing in every domain. So there is a viewer called Krishnamurthy who has sent his question. It's a series of questions. I'll just read it out so that we get a bigger picture. He asks, sir, is it really required to modernize our agricultural techniques? Why? Are our agricultural techniques, are they scientifically benefited for human health? And do modern techniques have advantages or disadvantages? So it's a big question, but I hope you get the gist of the question.
Yes, very interesting question. See, since independence, as I told, even our population has almost now crossed or touched even 130 crore. So, okay, it is our 1.3 billion nation. Just imagine, sir, the people dying due to the hunger, and entirely we are depending on the US, Europe or other countries to export wheat and even many grains for this country. So this was possible due to only intensive agriculture. So because that time we wanted to save the lives of the people, we wanted to stop import of food products or commodity to this country. So during that time, so when the introduction of this Mexican dark wheat varieties, they revolutionized intensely increasing the wheat productivity, and subsequently all crops, so whether it may be rice or cereals or fruits, vegetable, the growth, it's tremendous growth in all these fields. And because of this increased, on the other hand, there is a tremendous demand for this food and food products as well as raw products. So there is a pressure to grow more food. So every year we won't get more and more land. So only thing, the availability of agricultural land over period decreasing. So you might have seen a lot of urbanization. These cities are coming, growing across the limits. Because of all these reasons, now agriculture land over period, it is coming down. So because of this reason, so there is a tremendous pressure to grow more food in a given area or even lesser area. So because of this target, so because of this challenge, so now we have to grow more food, absolute necessary to practice all this modern technology. So then keeping these points aside, then again it is a debatable. So when we started all this this modern agriculture problems, I won't deny that absolutely it is free from all problems and everything is fine. I won't say that. There were problems. After introduction of high yielding varieties, we started increasing use of fertilizers, we started using more pesticides. Automatically, naturally, even that has also created some problem. So again, now we are ready for the green revolution. And now recently, as you said, there is a concept of growing foods by organic agriculture. So now there is a growing demand to grow the food and organic agriculture, because by organic agriculture is very difficult to meet the requirement of the entire nation or population. So we can go phase by phase, and we can also produce food based on the consumer demand or needs.
Right. So definitely, I feel that modern techniques are the need of the hour rather than debating on whether it is good or not. We should make an attempt to do it sustainably by minimizing its impact on the environment. So coming back to talking about career, generally whenever we have this word agriculture, the first thing that comes into our mind, farmer toiling, doing hard work in the field, and being very
Yes.
sweating and toiling in the field. But as a student of science, how can one get into the field of agriculture, and how is an agricultural scientist different from an agriculturist? What is the difference there?
This is a very common question, or any students thinking about the farmer, he may not knowing that, yes, this rosy picture comes to his mind. So if you think of today's farmer, okay, so it may be the common feeling after independence. So if you think of 2020, there was a tremendous change or in the field due to various profitable agriculture ventures, different crops and technology. Now we can comfortably say that, okay, this is not a picture you really think of. I can give it after independence. So what was the feeling of foreigners about the Indians? So they may be thinking that we are snake or only Indian with begging bowl and not a very civilized people and other things. They may be having that much thinking or version immediately after independence. So now in present 2020, so rest of the world, they may not think Indians like as it was earlier. So same thing in case of farmers also. So I can give you an example. So I was earlier where grapes Pune. So grape was an highly commercial crop, and really farmers have worked hard and maximum yields and profit. Even our table grape production, even so we were producing the highest productivity in the world, and farmers really made fantastic profit. we had one program for with this Doordarshana persons about our farmers. So our farmer has came in very expensive. Those even this Doordarshan person, they were surprised. They said, no, sir, we are asking for farmers to whom you are. They are farmers. So why can't they should travel in branded car or imported car? So even in grape growers also. So they came and they gave an interview, and we have taken to. So fantastic. I'm happy to see that the farmer standard of living is uplifted by agriculture activities. It is fine. So similarly, sir, I will give an example. So when you're a child, whenever you see the textbooks and read that, so when the lady picture, you assume, and in one textbook you see the lady may be only in kitchen. Either she may be cooking, or she may be washing clothes, or she may be doing some other activity. So whatever present day ladies, so they have excelled in all other fields. They have gone to even space also. So this is a common perceptions. When you think of lady, or we restrict them to a kitchen, and if you think of farmer, always he will be working hard in the soil, in the sun, and always suffering. So these are the mindset I think we can think, or we have to change over time. Yes, sir.
Change. Yes, yes. I think it will change. I think education creates that change in mindset, which happens over a slow period of time. There's a question that we have received from Dr. Avinash, who is a medical microbiologist. So this is going to be interesting. He has asked a question: how do you protect crops from unseasonal rains? I think he's asked, especially in the context of states like Andhra Pradesh, where there are back-to-back cyclones and farmers are facing severe loss all the time. So how can
this is a very good cause. Every year, this is the main problem with agriculture is this. Today's agriculture is the uncertainty of the climate. So either due to excess rains.
Correct.
Many of the times we lose crops because of failure of the rains or a drought. Sometimes there is a sudden outbreak of any pest. These are the highly unprecedented activities. Because of this, farmers has to lose the crops. And over a period of time, even though there is a progress in our forecasting system, so whether we have a even IMD or Indian Meteorology Department, or even very good weather forecasting systems across crops and across institutions, across places. In spite of all that, sometimes farmer has faced problem with losing of the crop with either excess rains, or sometimes without, or not receiving any. So we have come up with the technology, like especially to grow crops with lesser water. So now because of this biotic stresses, so growing crops in less water and or in drought conditions, our scientists we have a dedicated institution of National Institute of Maharashtra, and we have another institute called National Institute on Biotic Stress Management. So we have both biotic as well as abiotic stress management aspects in the field. So by using those technologies or avenues, we can able to, sometimes if things go way beyond our control, sometimes we may unable to save the crop, and we have a crop which can grow in more water, we can grow in a stagnant water, we can grow in saline conditions. By educating farmers, by diversifying their crop systems, reduce the problem of such unpredictable weather adversities.
So now, generally, most students, when we talk about agricultural sciences, of course, I think the common thing that comes into our mind is doing a BSc in agriculture. We will talk about the job opportunities for that later, but I want to ask you, is BSc Agriculture the only way to start a career in agricultural sciences? Can someone get into agriculture after doing, say, an engineering degree or some other science degree or maybe biotechnology or something like that? Is it possible to join agricultural sciences after doing such degrees?
Very good question, sir. It is possible. It is possible. Actually, in fact, we have when our own colleagues entering from a different institutions or a background, even at post-graduation level, especially any students who did not study agriculture in their undergraduation, they can enter the agriculture post-graduation, especially those who study basic science like zoology. So they can enter into the post-graduation to study the entomology. So those who have studied the botany and geneticists or breeders, and those who have studied mycology in pure science or traditional colleges, they can come and study the plant pathology or even physiology, plant physiology they can study. And many of the engineers, the agriculture education is many of our engineers. So they have come from even graduated and studied at IITs. And many of our engineers, whether it is civil engineers or agriculture, soil and water conservation specialists, so they are all engineers. They can, or even biotechnologists or genetic engineers, they can come and join as agriculture faculty and can do PhDs here, and vice versa. Even our students also they can go to their institutions. And many of the even my own for their MSc or PhD, because in some IITs, especially in IIT Kharagpur or Delhi, and in some they have this soil and water conservation, food processing technology, and most of them related to agriculture. Interestingly, even an institution like IIT Delhi, recently even they have started the courses on MSc and PhD in organic farming. Even my friend, he did a PhD in IITs. So after completing MSc in agriculture, very interesting examples. Even our own people can move to the other organizations for their studying, and even branch students, they can come to the agriculture stream, especially during the post-graduation and even for
Right, right. So definitely a lot of avenues to join agricultural sciences. Sir, you when you were talking, you mentioned the term entomology. Now, this is not a word that we hear every day, at least most common people. You yourself are an agricultural entomologist. So, what does this mean and what do you do?
Yes, sir. As any biology students, even 10 plus students, they are studying in now entomology and of insects. Sir. So it is a very broad term. It is even a branch of geology. But when my focus or concentration is on a relationship of these insects with the agriculture crops. So how, because insect, as you are aware, its kingdom is a very vast kingdom. Okay. So in this entire animal kingdom, so it constitutes the insect class with 70%, more than 70, even 80% of the organisms of this animal kingdom are insects. So we concentrate more agriculture entomology, mainly these in the crops. So whether it is a field crops or horticulture crops or medicinal aromatic plants or even storage insects, and their studies, how they spread, how they cause the damage, and how we can manage. So these are the studies, especially for the agriculture entomology. Apart from this, we study even other many courses, like whether it may be a insect taxonomy for identification of these insects. So among our entire insects, even only 10% insects are identified. So there is a lot of scope and work for taxonomists to keep on identifying these insects. And biological control, as we are speaking of organic farming and other things, this biological control of insects plays very, very vital role, because in nature, so these crop eating insects are controlled by other insects. So we call them as either parasites or predators. Understanding, identifying those parasite predators and releasing them, and indirectly helping the farmers to save the cost on pesticides and reduce the impact of pesticides on environment. So these were the things, or it may be even insect toxicology, pesticide residues, insect morphology, feature. These type of all courses we study during the end of the day, so when the farmer comes, his only question is, sir, my crop is eaten by this insect, crop is destroyed by this disease, tell me the remedy. So we cannot follow that. So I have to give a one-line recommendation for the
Correct.
instead of, unlike medicine, because we have in medicine, so whether it's allopathy or Ayurveda or homeopathy, we have a different branches. So most of the times they may not be entering into the other domain. So here it is, I should not be like that, sir. In our case, we have to study. Farmer comes, I may not straight away tell him to spray this insecticide to kill. I have to tell the possible methods. Okay, we maybe call it as a mechanical method or a cultural method, or it may be by, or just by changing the agronomic practices. Insecticide recommendation comes at the end when crop damage is going out of hand. So when no other methods are controlling his crop loss, so then finally we have to recommend the insecticides. So this is mainly we do in agriculture.
In fact, when you're talking
broadly
about
plant protection, as plant protection, because sometimes our entomologist as well as our sister subjects like plant pathology, we work hand in hand. So to save crop from disease as well as insects.
Yeah, in fact, when you're talking about insects, I remember that recently there was this locust swarm that swept over a part of our country, and it happens around the world. I've seen videos and documentaries. And I think it's quite a challenging thing to do. But I want to ask a slightly different question. As an agricultural scientist, you have to work closely with farmers. Now, the difference between a country like India and, say, the United States is that farmers in the US are generally have a slightly higher level of education, and therefore they are probably able to understand scientific techniques or scientific recommendations much better. But in a country like India, where farmers generally, on an average, would have not that level of education, they are used to a certain thing, and generally as humans we are used to something, we don't want to change, or there's a resistance to change. So what are the challenges that you face as an agricultural scientist in India while connecting with farmers throughout the country?
Yes, sir, even though the farmers are not formally educated in the schools, but fortunately, so they were very well versed with our nature and in the nature, and they know this farming and these growing crops and rearing other aspects since childhood. Okay, they may be doing in their own methods. So when the things go out of hand, for example, it may be a drought or it may be excess rain or a sudden outbreak of pest and disease, they may be growing the same old varieties which gives only low yields, or there may be problems with the weeds and other things. So these are the problems our farmers years. As I agree, the over period of time, now the awareness in the farmers and the education level, understanding of the subject, over period of time, we are hopeful that there is a gradual increase in farmers understanding what they want out of it. So if you take a commercial agriculture, for example, growing grapes or growing fruits or vegetables and plantations, coconuts, or farmer tea coffee plantations. So over period of time now, farmers now more and more educated farmers, they're entering into the field of agriculture, so they can able to understand their problems better compared to what we were experiencing with the farmers a few years or few decades back. So things will going to change, sir. There is a tremendous hope what we are farmers are understanding about their agriculture. So it was not like that earlier. Farmer going to the biggest problem, sometimes farmer go to any pesticide or fertilizer shop. So whatever they tell and recommend, they go and spray. Sometimes these practices might have caused the problems and even loss of the crop. So now even government are also thinking that whoever wants to sell even fertilizer, pesticides, the person who holds the crop or recommend the farmers, he has to be a licensee, and he must be a BSc agriculture graduate. So before recommending any practices to the farmers. So over a period of time, I think we are hopeful of changing these scenarios.
Right. So there's a student called Dhruva who has asked a question. He's asked a series of questions, but I'll try to make it a little concise and ask you. So he's mainly asking about farmers committing suicide and what are the reasons for this. But I wanted to ask it in a slightly different way. Now, there are a lot of farmers who are very successful, whether they're using modern methods of farming or even traditional methods of farming. There are farmers who are very successful. On the other hand, there are so many farmers who are committing suicide. So why is there such a big gap? So what are the reasons that are leading to this kind of dichotomy, where one hand you have farmers who are successful, other hand we have farmers who are committing suicide, and what can we do to fix this situation?
Okay, sir. Very good question and very sensitive question. This I have noticed, especially when Karnataka also witnessed the suicide of farmers, and there was a committee earlier constituted by government of Karnataka. He was also an entomologist and retired vice chancellor of University of Agriculture Science in Bangalore. So the report was submitted to the government. So in that report, what they said, there are so many socio-economical problems. So whenever is committing a suicide, there may be various reasons other than failure of the crop. So you must have seen farmers many times might have taken loan for non-agriculture purposes, marriage of a daughter, or whatever it may be. So sometimes farmer entangled into the trap of that debt. So on the other hand, of the climate, so failure of the rains and sudden outbreak of insect pest, and he may not be able to get the expected crop, and he has already taken loan for some non-agriculture. These things might have caused problems here and there, but overall, so over a period of time, I can say, so farmers, if they are able to do the agriculture in a different way, see, wherever monocrops were there, sir, any farmer, if growing a single crop over a period of time, over a piece of land, automatically he will encounter with the problem of soil degradation or pest or diseases and decreased yield. So recently, we have a IFS, they call it as an integrated farming system, and the farmers can grow the wide variety of crops, different types of vegetables. He may be growing a little bit of food crops, or he may be having some agroforestry systems. He may be having a silkworm rearing as a sericulture. Different concepts, combination of animals as well as crops. The farmers, those who have kept animals, so they got assured income through the milk, sir. Even our farmer once made a statement. So when the entire country, there was a committees constituted for studying of these suicides. So those farmers who followed multiple cropping system, animal component in their agriculture system, they did not commit suicide. So this is a lesson found, and by adopting, even in our own state, we have an excellent example in our Kolar district, sir, where even though very low groundwater and minimum rainfall, the farmer fantastic vegetables and able to sell it to the nearby Bangalore market, and there were no suicides in that district in spite of low rains. Even in some neighboring is there, because of the monocropping or crop failure or maybe some other reasons, there may be suicides. So with this, we can to go with this IFS integrated farming systems to at least to have, if one crop fails, he can get income from other crops.
Right, definitely. So we have a hopeful future to look forward to, where as we create awareness among farmers regarding the various methods they can use to reduce their dependence on these external factors and have a sustainable livelihood. So now talking about, since you mentioned animals, although agriculture is commonly associated with plants and crops, animals also form an integral part of agriculture. I want to ask you, what are the various avenues in agricultural sciences or its allied fields that one can pursue which deal with animals?
Okay, sir. Agriculture is a very broad term. Actually, agriculture includes even animal husbandry also. Where the Indian Council of Agriculture Research (ICAR) and it's working on agriculture, whether it's the field crops, or we have a divisions called horticultures where they deal with fruits, vegetables, flowers, plantations, and even landscaping and gardening. And we have agriculture engineering, we have agriculture microbiology, we have genetics and plant breedings where these breeders, they breed varieties and hybrids. We have a department called plant or crop physiology and agronomy and soil science. So, divisions or categories we have in agriculture. Likewise, in animal husbandry, husbandry was a part of agriculture, and we have a fisheries, and especially in Mangalore. So we have India's first fisheries college. It started in
Yes.
1969, a very prestigious fisheries college. And we have fisheries also. We have Central Marine Fisheries Institute. We have institute called Central Institute of Fish Technology. We have Inland Fisheries Institute. We have Brackish Water Aquaculture Institute. And we have one deemed university and to study only fisheries like a CFA. We have Central Institute. All these were part of agriculture under the ICR. But in case of state, even though earlier we have only one agriculture university as a Bangalore, then later it was split into VS. We have multiple universities. We have one agriculture university as Raichur, and we have separate horticulture university at Bagalkot, and separate exclusive university on veterinary animal husbandry or in fishery science at Bidar. Even though we all belong to the same family, so as the family grows, these brothers get divided their own home. So at the end of the day, so we all belong to same family, and we come under that bracket of this agriculture.
Very nice. There's a lot of avenues. So there's a so speaking of careers, there's a student, there's a viewer who has asked a question. He says, I don't know if it's a he or she, but they say that they're a first year MSc genetics student in IARI, and they're confused in choosing the next step, whether civil exam or research field. So what do you recommend, sir?
This is very interesting question, because many of the students now want to pursue a career in civil services, and many they are successful also, and they have entered civil UPSC as in now they are working as an IAS officers, and some have joined even Indian Forestry Services, some joined the revenue services. It is fine. So those because once you joined as an postgraduate student, so you have to maintain your completing the coursework and completing the research and prepare for your civils also. Are quite successful also, especially our own colleagues, those who are working at IRI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. So because of the avenues and because of that environment available or exposure, many were able to clear those civil. So if they're doing without affecting their coursework and other things, it is absolutely fine. So even though if they're at UPSC services, no issue, they may end up with passing even our Karnataka administrative examinations or even revenue service examination. And in our ICS system, we have an examination called ARS, called Agriculture Research Service. So now for Agriculture Research Service, now this PhD graduate is a must. So whenever they clear this Agriculture Research Service, it is an all India service, so they can enter any of the ICR institute across the country. We have more than agriculture research institutions spread across in all the fields, whether it may be agriculture, horticulture, animal fisheries, and even agriculture engineering and process.
Right. So that is so that the student, I'm sure, has a clearer picture what to do now. So I think it definitely depends on their passion and what they want to do. So there's a question that I want to ask. In the early 2000s, there was the IT boom. We had a lot of students getting into courses like computer science and information technology, and then pursuing careers in these kinds of fields. Do you see something similar happening in agriculture someday? And what can we do to make students more interested in choosing careers in agriculture?
Fortunately, as I said earlier, if you take the ratio of students coming out every year from either medicine or engineering and agriculture, today I think agriculture sector or agriculture graduates, I won't see or come across with there is a lot of an unemployment and source, because we have a robust system, because as I said, 50% of our country's present employment and agri sectors. So over a period of time, there is a tremendous achievement or growth in food processing and allied sectors. And now we have entered the era of the consumer-driven goods. So now people demanding organic food, and people want fortified cereals which are rich in iron and zinc, and people want now this yes, gluten-free products. So somebody wants a product, pesticide-free products. So there is a market-driven demand is there. So over a period of time, the most of our graduates absorbed in one or other field. So I would like to say here, sir, because, for example, with due respect to other subjects or profession, a dentist or somebody. So after graduation, he is a dentist. So he agriculture graduate is not an agriculture, whether he be a entering after completing PG, he may be agriculture research scientist or a professor, or he may be a agriculture development officer, or he may be a surveyor, or he may be even joining as a comments, or I can say even they are doing well as even commercial tax officers. They are doing well as even sub-registers in all state government departments. So across the field, variety and exposure of the subjects, sir. So here we study the agriculture engineering, agriculture, crops, animals. We study even psychology also. We study sociology also. We study languages. So due to wide variety of these courses, agriculture, economics, and extension, all these subjects the students are studying. So after their graduation, so they fit in one or other services, whether it is driven by a government or it is required by the private industry.
So now, just a situation, a hypothetical situation. A person who has absolutely no experience, practical experience in agriculture, does not have any agricultural land, but has the passion to do something and even the financial backing to invest, wants to start a modern, very scientific, large-scale farming operation. So how does one just go about this? Is it possible?
Yes, very good question, because you used a word called passion. A person have a financial, or person may be having land, or he, even though if he may not be having that much of agriculture background, so because of his passion and interest, yes, definitely they can do better agriculture farming. Now, large farming, contact farmings, many people are entering into the agriculture system. So because government of India wants people to come into the field of agriculture and produce more and more food, because when we are self-sufficient in the food only, we can think or talk of other progress. So even big corporates and many of the people, they do well. And very surprisingly, many of the engineers, those who entered agriculture, they have done exceptionally well. For example, I can give a grape cultivation. So many of my friends, those who do not have any agriculture background, they are very successful in engineering background. They can start up like units like a poultry, or they can enter into any food processing unit. So somehow with their experience, so even though they do not have basic experience in the agriculture, they can do exceptionally well. So absolutely, there is whoever wants to enter and invest in agriculture.
Right. So we are getting quite a few questions from students. So there's one question which has come in. What type of manures and fertilizers should we use, or what are recommended to have good growth, and how to test the quality of fertilizers? A very practical question.
Yes, sir. Yes. So, as I said, because of there is a pressure to produce more food or area, so we were started using this synthetic fertilizers, or whether it is a urea, and whether it is a diammonium phosphate, or it is a any other synthetic commercial fertilizers. So one thing, sir, when the plant absorbs nutrients, so it won't make difference for a plant whether it is coming from a fertilizer or it is coming from another source. But it makes difference over a period of time to the environment, to the soil. So when we keep on applying the synthetic pesticides, so over a period of time, our soil going to lose the fertility. So because of these problems, now the concept of this organic manuring, so now farmers wants to enrich their soil by using this farm-made manures and even vermicompost. Vermicompost is coming in a big way. Now farmers are using it. And now even another thing, by composting and enriching our soil, by enhancing the microorganisms which can decompose agriculture waste into a compost. So these concepts, or even biofertilizers. Now in recently we are started using biofertilizers also. So we can slowly think of reducing by substituting this non-conventional methods which can improve the soil health.
Right. Sir, now what role does agricultural science play in controlling some of the biggest threats that we face today? That is, forgetting all the personal problems that people have, there are bigger threats that we face as human beings, which is climate change, global warming, because these are environmental problems and closely related to human activity. So, what role can agriculture science play in trying to control these kinds of problems?
Sir, very good question, sir. Now this agriculture is gaining a momentum. Yes, I agree that because of the increased population and increased pressure on the land, we started converting non-agricultural land into even sometimes agriculture, and deforestation, and because of the animal this methane emission or greenhouse gases. Yes, there is some little bit problem is there. But apart from that, so whenever we are cultivating the crops, we are coming with the systems like it may be a integrated farming system. We recently introduced some systems like a growing forest crops and trees along with our agriculture crops. And we have come up with a technology stand drought or a heat, and they can grow in less water. By using all these methods, we can reduce the impact of this environmental issues on the agriculture. So especially this diversification of the crop and having some policies, paddies or rice, so and sugarcane, both only these two crops takes 60% of country's water. And if you say require more than 4,000 liters to produce 1 kg of rice, or it may take 3,000 liter of water to produce 1 kg of sugar. But crops like millets, so recently there is a government also promoting to grow and eat millets now. So millets are the very drought resistant crops. We can grow these millets. So ragi is one such millet. So apart from ragi, we have nowadays foxtails and so many other millets which can grow in lesser water, and they are very nutritionally good also. And because of the population of these diabetic patients, so because of the sustained release of glucose and other things, now these millets are coming in a big way. By promoting such crops, we can reduce the dependence on water, and slowly we can control this, mitigate this climate resilient issues.
Right. Sir, we are running out of time, so I would like to ask one final question. Now, of course, in agriculture, from our discussion, we have realized that there are two main pillars to good agriculture, that is scientists and farmers. So, what is the relationship like between scientists and farmers? And if there is ever an agricultural problem, who has the right answer, farmers or scientists?
So farmers and scientists, so we have to work hand in hand, sir, because farmers, yes, he spends a lot of time in his farm and for the growing, because for him it depending totally on him, his livelihood. So the yield issues or drought issues or pest and disease, for so many other things, the scientist has to intervene and help in solving the problems of the farmer. So over a period of problem, see, for example, or he may be doing one or two crops, but as a scientist, if you are working in an institution, you should have a picture of solving the various problems of the farmer. So we have to work to solve the problems of agriculture, even to acknowledge and appreciate the knowledge of farmers. So many of the farmers over a period of time with their knowledge and acquaintance with the crop, and even they have come up with their own varieties. So even our government of India is also now recognizing if any farmer, so who is conserving the germplasm, what he is growing in his villages, and if he has come up with his own credit to the farmers also. Okay. And those varieties are even released in the name of farmers also. So we have to work in a symbiotic way, and we have to work in a hand in hand, and to solve the problems of the agriculture and to produce more food in this country.
Thank you very much for this wonderful insight, sir. I think today we have all realized or learned a lot more about agriculture, agricultural sciences, and how it forms such an important part of our society. And I hope that many students will look up more on this, do their own reading about this, and take up careers in agricultural sciences and support the nation through that effort. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Dear viewers, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We will be back again next Sunday with yet another episode of EDUPATH. Our guest for the next episode is Mr. Sai Kumar, renowned film actor from the Kannada, Telugu and Tamil industries. We will see his journey of success and have a conversation with him, and we hope to see you all. Until then, do remember to subscribe our channel. Thank you everyone, and have a great week ahead.